Hi, and welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning at UWSP. Last year, I worked with Professor Gar Francis in the History Department on transitioning a course from face-to-face to online. His biggest challenge was adapting a role-playing exercise to the new modality. Gar has since retired, but I was captivated by the idea of role play for active learning. That's why this week I want to talk to you about the value of role playing activities and how you can develop them for your courses. Role playing exercises can lead to a variety of educational outcomes for students. First, role playing can help increase students' understanding of content as they make connections and apply their knowledge in new contexts. This can lead to greater retention of information and creates a deeper cognitive link to the material, making it easier for students to remember. Next, it can augment student achievement of affective learning outcomes. Affective learning outcomes describe growth in awareness, emotions, and feelings. These are attitudes and dispositions, and they can be tricky in educational contexts. By taking on the role of another person, students can practice empathy and perspective taking, which leads to more self-reflection and awareness of life experiences that differ from their own. Role-playing has been shown to increase motivation and engagement as students interact in fictional settings that mimic the real world. They also help students develop some of the softer interpersonal skills that they'll employ throughout their lives, including negotiation, debate, teamwork, cooperation, and persuasion. Role-playing encourages students to think more critically about complex and controversial issues and to see situations from multiple perspectives. Finally, it can be used as a training tool, helping students to learn to employ situationally appropriate behaviors through practice. In short, role-playing exercises sound great, so why aren't more instructors using them? There are several impediments to integrating role-playing into classes. First, there are time constraints. Role-playing activities can be time-consuming to plan and to execute. Second, existing resources may not have relevance to the learning outcomes and subject matter in any particular course, necessitating the development of new role-playing exercises. There are likely to be assessment challenges. It can be hard to assess students' performance in role-playing exercises compared to more traditional forms of evaluation like tests or essays. Class sizes can present a challenge. It's easier to conduct a role-playing activity in a smaller group where each student can actively participate. Finally, the student comfort level can be a concern. Not all students are comfortable with role-playing exercises. Some may feel self-conscious or anxious about performing in front of their peers. So, what can we do to alleviate some of these concerns and reap the benefits of role-playing activities in our courses? Let's begin by dealing with time constraints, relevance, and assessment challenges. To save class time, you can assign readings and roles in advance and have students prepare outside of class. For time constraints in producing a new scenario that's relevant and activities that can be assessed, you can use Microsoft Copilot. Begin by determining what you want your students to learn from the exercise. This could be recalling a specific set of information, explaining or evaluating complex social situations, or empathizing with diverse perspectives on an issue. Provide Microsoft Copilot with parameters, including a general topic, learning outcomes, numbers of students, and ask it to generate a scenario and characters, perhaps of different ages, occupations, or interests. I asked Copilot the following. Could you provide a scenario and characters for a role-playing exercise for groups of 6 college students that will center on diverse opinions about the upcoming presidential election? I would like it to help students develop the following learning outcomes: appreciating different perspectives, actively listening to the concerns of others, and summarizing the issues at stake in the election. Copilot provided an excellent town hall scenario with 6 adult characters representing different occupations and interests. Excellent. A warning: Copilot wouldn't generate a scenario for discussing the situation in Gaza or the Palestine-Israel conflict. It's programmed to avoid some hot-button topics, including race, gender, ethnicity, and it won't include real public figures as characters in your role-playing exercises. That's okay, though. You can always modify output as needed and use your final scenario and characters for further artificial intelligence prompts. Once you have characters in a scenario, ask Copilot to generate a slate of specific activities. The more details you can provide, the better your output will be. I posed the following to Copilot. Could you provide an outline for the exercise spanning a 4-week period in which the class meets 2 times per week that would allow them to meet the specified learning objectives? I would like to see a list of specific activities for role-playing, such as research, meetings, debate, reflection, etc., the approximate time to complete the activity, whether it should occur inside or outside of class, and production of accessible submissions that I can use to gauge their level of achievement of the learning outcomes. What I received was an excellent starting point. Copilot generated a plan for the activity and the assignments that could be assessed. Was it perfect? No, but you can always modify the output as needed. Using Copilot, I was able to generate an activity in less than an hour with roles for 6 students, specific activities and objectives for each role in each activity, and all of it served the learning outcomes that I had entered. We still have a couple of impediments we need to deal with. Dealing with the class size issue is easy. Generally, small groups of less than 10 people are good for role play. You can always break large classes into smaller groups for these activities. As to student comfort level, not all students are going to be comfortable engaging in role play, as their comfort level depends a lot on how they feel about public speaking and pretending. You can always reduce the feelings of self-consciousness and anxiety about performing by ensuring that your activity is written to provide each of the following elements. First, you need to have relevant scenarios that the students can relate to. The situations or problems that they're navigating during the role play should be relevant to the learning outcomes and complex enough to allow for different perspectives. Students should take on different roles or characters with the scenario. Each role should have a clear purpose and a set of responsibilities so that students don't have to completely wing it. They have guidance, and they should all bring in different perspectives. You should always develop rules for conduct during the role play. Role-playing activities should foster positive interpersonal relationships among learners, including psychological safety and trust. Laying the groundwork for civil discourse by providing rules for what is and is not acceptable behavior in the role-playing activity is essential. Instructors or facilitators should guide the role play, providing structure and direction. They can also provide feedback and debriefing at the end of the role play exercises. Supplying peer feedback is a crucial part of role-playing activities. This is what provides opportunities for interaction and critical thinking. Providing guiding questions can help scaffold peer feedback activities, leading to generation of more useful observations and suggestions. Reflection on learning is also important. After the role play is complete, students should have the opportunity to reflect on their experiences, the decisions that they made, and the outcomes of those decisions. Role-playing activities are an engaging form of active learning that can help your students reach a variety of learning outcomes. Writing them is easy with the assistance of generative artificial intelligence. And that's this week's teaching tip, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. We offer support for course design, learning activities, assessment, and pedagogy. Visit our website to schedule a consultation today.